Put this in here because I hope we get to it. And then this Docker CPI pull request.
Yeah, like I just wanted to get your thoughts on this. Like I have not even tested it myself. It's more of a thing I'm thinking about adding at some point. Like this is just generated stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is probably it's gonna look something like this, and this is gonna be the impact. But the idea being that like we already publish these stem cells on in a central place anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So there should also be something to publish them as light stem cells. But yeah, this will make uploading stem cells a lot quicker if they are already pooled, right? So if you're recreating
Mm-hmm.
environments locally, this would make things better. It's mainly, I think, the instant Bosch CLI thing that I'm working on. This would be really useful in that scenario.
Yeah.
And
You're
there's
reminding me of that.
benefits in here.
Yeah.
I didn't think of those, but yeah, those are the
Yeah.
benefits.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. This would just impact the Docker CPI release.
Yeah,
We're
and this
definitely,
stem cell pipeline
yeah.
and
Um,
Bosch IO.
let's, yeah. I mean, a priori, no problem. I think one of the things I've noticed is that we're still seeing a lot of fallout from the Jammy to Noble update
Mm.
and the the various complexities of the OCI images that we create for the Docker and vSphere CPIs that then get run in CI that have many layers of sort of pulled in dependencies that reference um, stem cell version and or compiled release versions. So I don't know that this would necessarily make it better, but it feels like I would say just as you do this, it probably makes sense to keep an eye on how we can maybe make it so that the stack has one or two places where you can set the stem cell and not, you know, 3 to 7, as it seems to be the case now. We're still kind of hunting down. So,
This I don't know how the stack is like stacks are build packs,
stack's
right?
not quite the right. Yeah, stacks are build packs. I'm using that more generically, but
Okay. Yeah, so
um,
like this would be just about like having a light stem cell being just a tarball with a metadata file that points to an image that's already published, right? And the CPI
yeah,
would go pull that image instead of trying to import an image like it's currently doing. That's basically
yeah,
the difference.
yeah.
So this is not specific to Jammy or Noble, right? Like this is just
Okay.
a more
Yeah, just a
generic
different
thing.
different
Yeah.
version. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
and I
mean,
think we already publish images for both of those in GitHub. Right, we push those images in our pipeline. So this would just
yeah,
be creating a small tarball that points to these images at a
hmm
digest,
yeah,
so that we can pull those from or get those from Bosch IO. So you can do Bosch upload stem cell. You only download the small file, and then it pulls the image from an OCI registry.
yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I mostly am just as you have travels through this code, maybe keep an eye on places where we
Yeah,
can
makes sense.
we can minimize that issue. But yeah, this otherwise seems generally
Yes, we already publish images of
generally.
stem cells. I think we
Oh,
we started
I
doing
can.
that because of the agent compile stuff, right?
Oh,
Um, or
yeah.
maybe we already
Where
did it
where are
before.
they?
So
Like,
if you
are
go
they
to
on
Bosch,
GHDR or?
if you go to Bosch Linux Stem Cell Builder, they show up under packages in the right
Ah,
hand column. So they are pushed to GitHub's OCI registry thing.
oh, that's nice. Cool.
Yeah. that like here on the right. So we have a Ubuntu Gemi and a ennobled stem cell, and you can use those because they have the agent already in there. So you can use that to compile your releases against that image.
Yeah,
Nice. Okay, cool.
they're nicely out of date.
Are they? So we're not updating them?
I don't know. Yeah,
The
they're
Gemi one
gonna
is particular, like that's
old. Yeah,
old. Hmm,
yeah.
okay. But I will probably get to that when I
Yeah,
start looking into this. But that's a good one.
yeah. There are a lot of gremlins in there right now,
Yeah.
because of the cutover. So,
Yeah, I mean
um,
I think they took out some really critical piece of the CI infrastructure. Like that was really tightly embedded there. Like this, what was it called? Like Joseph Palermo.
yeah, yeah.
Was an yeah.
Uh, I will back to PRs. Um, I'll bring up the Bosch thing in a minute because I think we'll get to it in the course of looking at PRs.
Okay.
Move these around a little bit. Close that. Seems fine. Any comments on this? Just gonna go ahead and merge it. I think that's still waiting on some changes. What's the state of this thing?
I
I'll
believe the
run
changes
this.
were pushed. The requested changes were implemented, I believe.
I
I've
think
not.
there's still this conversation open with you about um, whether it would be safe to return
I see. Oh yeah.
um, whether we should be returning on the zero null value and or returning an error. Um, I think this does, yeah, like to not return an error it would be, I think, an indication that that the actual number of processes is zero, which is not the case if we have an error, if we fail to fetch those, but it would be a behavior change in as much as there is another thing which could fail in the heartbeat process.
I mean,
Does that make sense? If we look over here, maybe it's easier to see. So we will send, yeah, so we would lose some of the heartbeat information, right? So previously, without having the processes being fetched.
but not re so getting yeah. So there's an error getting processed, but that's logged in the agent log. But that
Hmm.
I'm assuming that we're not sending in a heartbeat then, right? So we're gonna miss a heartbeat.
We're going to return a heartbeat, but we're going to return a null heartbeat with an error, presumably. I'm not sure what the outside
Um,
caller.
yeah, my assumption was that the outside caller will then go log the error or maybe crash the agent, while in the past it would just return a heartbeat because the agent is running, right? The heartbeat is about the agent, it's not about the processes. Like, can we still work with the agent? And the agent is receiving um, it's receiving heartbeats, it's responding to heartbeats, it's just not in a good state, but like sending a task to it could complete or fix that, right? Like an apply spec or something. You don't have to recreate the VM basically, right? You want to restart the processes, but you don't want to recreate the VM. And I think failing to send heartbeats will mean that the VM will be recreated. And I don't think that's the correct course of action. But you now found something else or not? Is that what it does?
Um, so we wrap an error. Yeah, we would, yeah, if we get an error from the get heartbeat function, we will fail. So yeah, I think there's probably some discussion to
Would be good to maybe link this code there because
yeah.
this is the relevant, right? Like this is what's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna cause recreates of the VMs while we basically just want to wait for, and like it could be intermittent, right? It could be a process that takes a bit longer but eventually becomes healthy or so. I don't know. Like there could be things that do not require a recreate of a VM. And not sending a heartbeat results in a recreation of the VM, right?
Sorry. So, but as in the above lines that I provided here, we just follow the pattern here, just not to have any default response. So why are we treat this one differently?
Because we're changing behavior. We're basically in the
I mean,
past, this was not dependent on the process management system, like the Monet stuff, right? The Monet can be has its own life cycle, so it might be at some point not be available or something, or still being restarted or whatever, causing this error, causing a failed heartbeat, and then we basically tie the health of the VM at that point to the health of the Monet process management. And Monet is not a great system, right? So I'm really worried about that.
yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
I think it is there. I think there is a valid concern that we're not necessarily propagating failure of the process count execution out. But yeah, like you're saying, maybe logging the error is sufficient, or
Hmm.
maybe we should consider enhancing the heartbeat with additional information. I mean, another alternative, which is not great, would be to make the process length be an integer pointer so that that can be null as a way to indicate different information, but that then makes it a slightly um strange struct in terms of like some values being pointers and some values not, which I don't really like, but I think Yuri's right. There is a sort of strangeness in the heartbeat thing where we have some values which we can allow to be default without throwing an error, where other values, if they're not if they're going to be defaulted to the nil values, then they're gonna throw an error.
Maybe
And
we need
also,
another field to like communicate the health of the process manager,
yeah, maybe,
like process
or
manager healthy or not, or running, or
or
whatever.
possibly rather than a process number integer, maybe there's an embedded struct that encodes the process manager information, and if that's nil, then we can assume the process manager is dead or not responding. Not really sure. But I mean, I think both those points are valid, right? Like returning the nil value for process number of processes or process length is like not great because we're not communicating information that we have out to the caller. And I think you're right also, Ruben, if we return an error here, it means that Monit is in the hot path of deciding whether a VM is healthy and running,
Yeah,
which is
and
probably not.
this information is going to be used for monitoring, right? And like by putting this in the critical path, it's going to affect the health monitor or the resurrector stuff, like operation, and that's what
Yeah.
what I don't think is good, right? This is basically providing additional information, but it shouldn't affect the existing functionality.
Yeah.
So it's okay if this information is like it's a best effort, right? We should optimize for keeping the existing workflow or existing behavior and just have some additional information sometimes, right? Like an overall, like maybe there's cases where it's nil, where you're saying there's zero processes, but that's also easy to filter out, I guess, on the monitoring side. And like it's still not an expected state, right? So it's still communicating that there's something going on, right? Because there's zero processes running. At least that the process manager knows of, or that the process manager is reporting. So. But what are you trying to do here, right? Because is nil different from null from zero?
Well, an integer can't be nil. An integer can have a nil value,
I
which is
know.
zero,
Yeah, it
right?
could be zero, but like from a number of processes, there's zero number of processes that we know of. That is correct, right? Like it could be that they are still there, but we're not able to get them or get their state. So if you're not able to observe them, are they really there?
That's a great philosophical question, which I think maybe you all should hash out in the comments. Um, is that enough of a breadcrumb for you all to sort of chew on this? I think it's an interesting question, and I like, Yuri, I agree that it is a bit weird, and this does follow the existing pattern. And also, I think there is a reasonable concern that this will start to cause instability in existing deployments because it's adding another possibly fallible or more likely to be fallible process into a sort of critical VM health check.
Yeah,
I
like I think during a normal deploy, we stop Monet even, right? Or do we unmonitor? Do we even shut down Monet? There
don't think
is
we stop monitor. I think we use
unmonitor.
unmonitor, which
Yeah.
um, I don't know what the consequence of that for the job supervisor processes
Yeah.
invocation would be.
Yeah. Such a small change, so many opinions.
Well, Aram, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Does anybody have any context on this? I have never used this, but the changes look fairly reasonable to me. Um, Maybe Ramon has worked on or worked with this.
I just signed in.
It's a
The
great,
readback
great,
thing.
great time for me to ask you hard questions then.
Yeah, why not? So, yeah, my stuff
Oh,
was I don't know. Did he take most of my stuff?
No,
no idea.
no, he didn't.
Because the problem is that like the warden stem cell needs to be built different, then repackaged different than other stem cells. Also, like with GCP, vSphere, they all have different ways to package stuff. So that's why I said, look at my code and steal shit from that.
But is he
Okay.
breaking it more than it already is? Like you're just saying it's incomplete, right? It could be better, but I mean, like, is it making it worse? I think that's the question because we cannot ask him to fix all the issues that like exist today, right? If this is making it a little bit better, I think that's good enough.
Yeah, fine by me, dude. I'm just saying that this I fixed like 90%.
Then you can create a PR.
I don't want to do it.
All right. I'm gonna leave this in
I, I
waiting
I
for.
only have two hands. I cannot type any faster. Maybe I need to have that Elon Musk brain chip that I can sleep at night and
Okay. This is. I'm gonna move this to prioritized. I think we're just waiting for. We are waiting for director changes stuff to come in on this one. Storage CLI changes for Ali Cloud. Might leave this to the storage folks actively working on this to merge. This
Yeah,
all seems fairly
there was
reasonable, but
another storage one where they wanted to get feedback. Like I think the next action, maybe it was actually this one. Like the next action is to actually try and integrate this in the Bosch director, right? To try if this new interface actually works for us
yeah.
before they
I
move
think
on.
that is I think that was in the unified main.
Oh, unified. Okay,
Yeah.
missed that one.
This
Where,
one done. Okay.
where's the unified main? Is it still there?
I think they might have merged that.
Interesting.
Release pipeline. Yeah. Right. That's not what I wanted to do, GitHub. Okay.
The one main one. Yeah, that one
Is
is
that,
also
did you see it?
not on the board, but I found
Ah,
it
okay.
here.
Okay.
Put it in the chat. Oh, yeah, it got the approvals and then Beyhan said something.
Okay. We'll ask for some reviewers. Okay. All right. These changes I think are about this is also to the vSphere CPI. This is about changing, adding an additional capability, include like adding a capability in addition to the virtual CD-ROM drive for passing agent information in to VMs on vSphere.
Mhm. Yeah, I see that Long and Ansh got assigned. I don't know if they have context on this and are likely to review this.
I don't know. I'm gonna add a few more folks from our team
Yeah, I think that's
who I know care about vSphere. Long has not taken himself out of rotation, so this is the thanks he gets.
yes.
Right. Let's see. This all seems reasonable. I think we have no reviews yet. Felix, you want to talk about the AWS changes? I think it's coupled with the NVMe one here.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. It was changed with the stem cell version, but we missed to update it here, and then this led to the issues that the symlinks were not created correctly, which in the end could lead to that the agent would try to repartition the persistent disk instead of the ephemeral disk. And I guess this other coding in the agent, it was done after the upgrade to basically work around this, but I think this is like kind of fixing the root cause.
Okay, that seems reasonable to me. We've got one approval. I'm happy to approve this and merge. If anybody else has got thoughts, please
Really
let me know.
impressed by Felix's digging.
Yeah, no, it was a team effort. Like Aram had all the debug logs and everything, and
Yeah.
If
It's
this
so
one can
funny
merge first is
when
fine.
it's done just like changing a character from a I don't know to a
yeah,
capital, right? Like that's the fix of all this stuff. Like
yes, yeah. I don't know why you would do this change as well, but yeah.
you literally found a needle in a haystack.
Where's that one? All right, so this is mostly informational, and I will pull up the one failure. I don't have a good way. There isn't a good way to not fail an entire workflow run, but to flag a fact that one of these fails. So currently, the GitHub workflow ignores failures on head of Ruby across macOS and Ubuntu. The issue is, so I'll show you that code. So we continue on error when we run the rake tasks. So for those that don't know, there is a small Ruby file that exists inside of the Bosch CLI. And previously that was embedded as a const inside of the Golang code. I moved it out to a separate file using the go embed flag so that there is a Ruby file on disk that we can more clearly see. I introduced a fairly basic spec file, spec helper. I'm ignoring the gemfile.lock because there is no Ruby necessarily that is valid. And then this is the ERB renderer file. So I made some stylistic changes in there that were based on this standard RB gem. And that is down here. Notably, the Bosch CLI depends on whatever Ruby happens to be on the path at the time that Bosch CLI is invoked. So if your path is set up in such a way that you pull Ruby from RBN or from Cheruby or from the system, it doesn't matter. You get that. We discovered part of the problems here because and this change has already landed with ERB 6.0. We had been using a syntax for calling ERB initialization, which was deprecated sometime in the last 5 or 6 years, but has been supported since Ruby 2.6, which is the default Ruby that ships on Mac OS. So that backwards compatible change in the renderer code has been made. That's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to view this file. So this is the Ruby code that the CLI invokes. Internally, it uses OpenStruct, which doesn't appear to be present anymore in the latest release of Ruby 3.5. That might change before Ruby 3.5 gets released, but it'll be something we'll have to figure out at some point. And then this is based on some code from the Bosch director, but this code doesn't really exist in the place that references. So that's basically the story of this PR. You look excited, Ruben. You're muted, Ruben.
Sorry, I know that Long tried to move away from OpenStruct a long time ago,
Yeah,
and that was, I don't know. I think he
not
couldn't figure it
successful.
out. He was not successful, but
Yeah.
there were performance issues with OpenStruct, or there still are.
I think there may be, yeah. I mean, it's something we probably should bite off in the Bosch director as well if we do this, because this code is meant to mimic the Bosch director template rendering for
Yeah, like
create and context.
the whole dot notation, right, for nested properties, and that stuff is going for OpenStruct, right?
Yeah.
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 So that's like something that's, I don't know, kind of
Yeah.
important to how templates are set up.
Yeah. So right now, this PR doesn't change anything. It just adds a code check, which maybe will give us more information. So it will not currently pass on any Ruby newer than 3.4x.
Yeah.
It seems like Ruby 3.5 might ship with OpenStruct, but it's not clear. So
Yeah,
But
if it doesn't, we need to embed something like OpenStruct in a
correct.
single file, right? Like, or it doesn't have
Yeah.
to be a single file, but it needs to be all embedded.
Needs to be
Inspe-
embeddable into the Bosch
embeddable.
CLI. Yeah.
Yes.
There's probably some work to be done in the CLI to validate the state of the Ruby being invoked, so that we can get better errors to the user. If the Ruby happens to be too old or too new, this won't work, but it'll kind of silently fail.
Or is this finally the point where we are finally migrating away from Ruby?
Hey, PR's welcome, Ramon.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going
Be,
to do that.
be careful what you wish for. Like I might send them the bots your way, and then you get so many PRs to move everything
No,
over
that,
to.
dude, that will only make things worse.
Yeah. Well, we need to move the whole ecosystem away from or change. First, we need stable like different templating, the stuff that
Joseph
Joseph
was working on. Yeah.
proposed, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the first step.
Correct. All right. So that's there. Feedback welcome. It at least gives us a little better coverage and exposes that code rather than hiding it in a const somewhere. I think we did these things. Ruben, do you want to talk about this one main thing that's been merged? So maybe we don't.
We were talking about it. I don't know. I mean, like, I think last time we said that it would be good if this would be picked up in a director before it's like set in stone,
Yeah,
right?
for
Like
sure.
before the cloud controller starts using this, ideally we start using this in the director because then we can still make changes to make it work with the director. Otherwise, we end up in a situation where the cloud controller uses their shared storage CLI, but we cannot adopt it in the director.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think Beyhan was going to talk internally at SAP to see if someone on the Bosch team could take a look at this, but I don't know if that happened or not.
Okay.
Does someone on the call know?
Mm-mm.
Someone from SAP?
Sorry,
Felix?
what was the topic?
The storage CLI.
Thursday, yeah. Shall
The
we?
storage CLI there is being built, but it now needs to basically be integrated in the Bosch director.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
And ideally, that happens before they start using it in the cloud controller, because like if we find things that do not work for the Bosch director, then we can still
Mhm.
make changes, right? And if they have adopted it, then it becomes harder.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's if we can validate that.
Yeah, that's a question. Like someone needs to go validate this. And I think the storage CLI effort is mainly driven from the SAP side. So I was wondering if it makes
Yeah,
sense
yeah.
if someone from you starts to look
Yeah,
at
I'll,
this.
I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up and guess someone can tackle it.
Yeah.
Ruben, do you want to have an issue? Do you mind dropping an issue for that and tagging somebody, maybe Beyhan, who can then redistribute it or something? That seems like maybe a good.
Yeah, some sort of track. We already have the tracking issue, I think, for the RFC, right? So maybe that's the place to put it
Okay.
because it's like a coordination thing, right? And those we typically do
Yeah.
from the RFC. Let me find it. But there was an RFC actually. Was there not an RFC?
There was, maybe it was in the storage
That's not where RFCs go.
area.
We created a whole working group thing.
Okay.
Yeah, someone is testing it again, Felix said. So, Yeah, nice find. I was never. It's, I don't know why my stuff fixed it then.
I mean,
Excellent.
that's also it would have been another option to also fix it like that, but yeah, it's more
This is
AWS specific, so yeah.
That seems way more elegant.
Yeah, but I think yeah, you had one change where it basically did the same, right? You did this read link to basically read the symlinks afterwards from the agent. Yeah,
Yeah,
same
it's
options there.
at some point I had like check if this is the root disk, yes or no, and then not pick that one.
Exactly. Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Should we go ahead and close this? Are we good?
I think it still needs to be merged, and after that we can close
Okay.
this.
Aram just
Okay.
merged it earlier.
He's
Okay. Well, if
But
it's merged, then we can close the issue.
I'll tag you Ramon, I guess, and you can see if it actually fixed it.
No, I trust. I could not replicate it myself, so that was the whole problem.
yeah, replication is still hard, but we can see it
Yeah,
if
the
the
only
stem
one who
cell is
was
there.
reasonably was able to replicate it was Alam.
Yeah, he was just going by chance. So if we would
Yeah,
deploy 10
well,
times, it would happen 1 or 2 times because only then these device names were switched. Um,
I have never been able to replicate it. So for me, I don't know.
yeah, for me, sometimes happened as well, but yeah, it was very flaky. And then I did 10 recreates and it never happened. So re really tough. But I guess you can see it in the logs. If when it checks the device names, we can see if it directly stops when it checks for SDB and not falls back to NVMe stuff.
Yeah. Makes sense. Thanks for digging through that, Felix.
Oh, sure.
This one,
How did you find it? I'm just curious.
I was just going through the AWS docs, and they also mentioned that they have internally for the Amazon Linux, they have a UDEF rule to do this mapping between the device names. And then I thought, okay, we should also do that. And then I checked the Bosch Linux Stem Cell Builder, and I just found this old UDEF rule. And then I was wondering, hey, it's there. Why is it not working anymore? And yeah, basically, then I ran the stuff on the noble stem cells, saw no output, and then changed the flag, and then I saw it.
Yeah, amazing. It's just
nice. Anybody have context on the Bosch light bubble?
no, I've not done anything with it. It's still we still need for our so Bosch Light works for me personally on my local machine, but that's because I have init1. But that's a different issue maybe than what he is currently having.
Yeah.
So yeah, someone needs to do this if they have time to do that. I'm continuously debugging build packs, so I
Mm,
don't have an extra screen available to also to also do Bosch Light testing.
yeah. All right. Move down to pending review. This is just an issue related to that PR that I talked
When is
about
Ruby
earlier.
4 coming?
Ruby actually should edit this and say Ruby 5. There are previews of both 3.5 and 4.0 out. So
Okay.
I suspect within 6 months at the longest. So
How much
I'm not sure.
is it going to break?
Doesn't seem like it's going to break a ton. I mean, I think the biggest impact is going to be which default gems are available. So if the OpenStruct gem isn't shipped with the Ruby itself, it means that until that gem gets installed by the user, that we won't be able to rely on it being present. I mean, we could also say in order to run the Bosch CLI with Ruby 3.5, you have to gem install OpenStruct. It's another like workaround. But we may want to at least do some work to ensure that there's an actionable message for users who encounter this problem, rather than just having the template compilation for create and fail.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Can we not well, that's not the proper way to do it, but can we not, yeah, maybe we should force like download this library if we actually need it. But
Yeah, but then there's a lot of ways to slice it as a solution. I don't know what the right way is, so yeah, drop
me neither.
ideas in here. Seems a little bit odd for us to be doing things like installing gems on a user's machine, because then we have to handle the case where maybe the user is using the system Ruby and they don't have permission to mutate system Ruby. Seems messy.
Yeah, it's going to be hellish. It's probably not the way we want to do
I
it.
think it's better like to take this opportunity to figure out a way to take ownership of the OpenStruct part of our API contract, as in like re-implement what we actually need, and then we can also make it more performant and maybe spit it out as a single Ruby file, or not a single, but like something that we can that doesn't depend on gems, right?
Yeah.
Just source. We can put in use in both places, but that's a bigger refactoring, right?
For sure. The last thing I had is this is just mostly a public service announcement that I think these are the last two Bosch jobs that are failing because of the Jammy to Noble changes. And also right now a bunch of the Bosch, I guess three things. The bunch of the Bosch jobs, the Bosch CI jobs are running on Jammy instead of Noble because we weren't able to get them running on Noble for various reasons. And we are wanted to put up mention the idea that maybe we consider dropping the pass constraints on the Bratz acceptance and BDRAT's acceptance tests so that we can get a release out, because it's been about 2 months since we've released a Bosch director. Most of the changes have been dependency bumps. But I've been looking at this off and on, as has Clay. I think the right way for us to resolve the Jammy to Noble change is to get the Bosch pipeline 100% using Noble. But right now it's in a bit of a split brain situation where some of the tests run on Noble base OSs using Noble stem cells, and some of the tests run on Jammy base OS using Jammy stem cells and various combinations there. And I think if we start the work to do a hard cut over to Noble only, there's probably going to be a lot of work in the pipeline before we're able to cut a release.
Mm-hmm.
But like getting rid of the pass constraint, like what level of confidence do we have in that release then?
Medium. Like I looked through the diff and it's mostly gem bumps. So it seems low risk that it would have impacted the Bosch disaster recovery code paths, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. And I think we've mostly
it's the BDRAT, so that's the Bosch, the backup restore stuff, right? Like that.
Yeah.
And what's the other one?
Bratz.
What's Bratz?
Bosch or BuildPack, one of the two.
No,
I think it's Bosch.
BuildPack.
the R is for the
Yeah.
Where is this coming? Brad's telephone. I think these are. Yeah, so these are failures in here. I think
Bosch
this is
runtime acceptance test or something.
yeah. Bosch release acceptance test. Uh,
BRAD stands for build back runtime acceptance tests, but
yeah, I
But
don't
leave
think
a working
that's.
group.
yeah, that should be not here. So
Yeah, so starting Docker CPI.
Yeah. So it runs these specs.
yeah, it's in Bosch source BRADs.
Yeah, so this is more risky, I think, too.
Yeah.
No idea what it does. Why is it breaking already? Or was that breaking because we Noble?
It's breaking because of the Noble Jammy.
Yeah, okay. So, but once we changed it to Noble, what is
But
well,
it doesn't. It's the Docker CPI stuff, right?
I
That's
don't not
Yeah, this is Bosch
it's
Lite.
the nested CPI
yeah.
problem.
Yes. So this is the Bosch Lite issue. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So what I think we need, like, we can focus on that, or if someone has time for that, like, we need to fix our um, concourse one or concourse infrastructure, and we just need to go from Guardian to a container D, and that will probably solve our issue. Um, it's just basically a redeploy. We need to set some settings and do a redeploy. I know there are already for a few years that they want to ditch Concord, want to ditch Guardian, and want to use Container D anyway. So, um, but nobody has ever they never done that. So maybe we should try that, and that would probably fix this. Uh, the other way is to, instead of using Docker, we can temporarily just use GCP. It will add a little bit costs to our deployments,
Mm,
but
Is
or
it starting?
uh,
So, like, how does it do? Like, it uses a Bosch direct. It doesn't do Bosch createnv, right? Like, it deploys.
It does this start interbosh, so
Yeah. Okay.
this is it deploying to itself, and
Yeah. So
the
it spins
agent
up
the
another director,
maybe
basically.
your thing will work in this.
But yeah, you could try instant Bosch because that gives you also.
You can try Instant Bosch. It's your project.
No, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm a pensioner currently.
Then get away from the pensions.
Yeah, next year. So if we can wait till next year, then I will look into it.
Cool. All right, so it sounds like no dropping the constraints, especially
Not
not
for
for this
this one.
Brad's
The other
one.
one
Yeah,
I'm like open
yeah,
to. This one I don't know. It feels more
feels
risky.
risky. Yeah,
Yeah,
fair.
and this is an yeah, it's an infrastructure or CI, like it's a CI problem, right? Like
It's just our
like
acceptance tests. It doesn't matter if we if we put it to Jammy or Noble. It's just
No, that's fine, but it needs to run.
it needs to run, but it will not run now. So just changes to Noble, and it will still fail because the no. Why is this? This should also not be failing because it's. Oh no, it is Noble. Yeah.
This is noble, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I was confused. Well, yeah, if we do it on Jammy, it's also still fine. It will still test our Bosch stuff, but
Yeah. This was the thing I was kind of alluding to earlier, is there's a lot of interlock across the entire Bosch CI setup that makes it very difficult to switch um, between OSs without causing every other part of the pipeline to consume that particular OS. And right now we've got most of the pipeline green aside from these two tests. And I think if we
the
flip
best
back to
thing
a version,
the best thing to do is if we are know where we use all this, we can just make one CredHub credential in
yeah,
our
that would be great. But the problem is that part of this is embedded inside the container images that are used. So like the the Docker CPI image or the Warden CPI image have several layers of embedded files and ops file flags
oh
that
yeah.
toggle which type of startup and which OS and whether or not systemd is invoked. So it's like I wish it were an environment variable we could pull in, but it currently isn't because some of the things have the OS baked in at the start and some don't. So then we have to make sure that we have a jammy and a noble version of every one of those resources and make sure that they're appropriately threaded through all of the CI jobs.
Uh-huh. No, I get it.
So
So if someone has the time, try if we can do it in instant Bosch within our concourse and see. Just set up a fake
But
thing.
I'm wondering how, like, it's not much different, right? In the end, you still end up with a container running a Docker CPI.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't think it will change
Yeah,
anything. But
no.
I think we need to fix our concourse to and change it to because the K8 work. If the concourse on K8 can do it, I think. And K8 is using container D. The concourse on K8 use container D.
yeah, so it seems
App runtime,
plausible.
for example, uses the Kubernetes deployed concourse.
But this is also like that making that change would be relatively cheap, right?
Yes, it's well relatively yes. It's uh, someone needs to
To
do it
redeploy concourse with the container D setting.
with the container D. So, but I know you need to. The only thing someone needs to do a little bit of investigation of which flags we need to set because we need to set some proper flags for DNS and such, which is by default in Guardian. But yeah, so I think there are like 4, 5, 6 flags that we need to set. Uh, that's what I read from the documentation, anyways. So we can probably steal it from someone else.
Cool.
Does someone want to put effort in that, or
We
I
will
in the end?
probably come to this at some point, but right now our group is pretty slammed with other stuff, so I don't know how soon. If anybody else feels like picking it up, that would be great. If you don't, somebody in Broadcom will probably get to it by early next year at the latest.
Okay.
Cool. I think we did it, folks.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining us. Have a good
See you
Thursday.
later.
Take care. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.